everyone. Before I dive into the story, let me just say this real quick. If you're new here, please hit that subscribe button and turn on the notifications. I share real, raw, true life experiences, and trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming next. My name is Marissa Hale, and I'm 40 years old. I live just outside Denver, Colorado, in a quiet suburban neighborhood where the streets are lined with maple trees and kids still ride their bikes to school. If you saw me from the outside, you'd probably think I live a calm, predictable life. Work, pay bills, drink coffee on the porch, go to bed, repeat. But life has a way of throwing you into storms you never expected, and sometimes those storms come disguised as the very people you trust the most. This story is about my best friend, or at least the woman I thought was my best friend, who moved into my home to help me, only for me to catch her red-handed in ways I never imagined. Let me take you back. I met Tara Mitchell when I was 25. Back then, I had just landed my first real corporate job at a marketing firm downtown. Tara worked in a different department, but she was the kind of person who could light up a room. Loud laugh, dramatic stories, always dressed like she was going to a party. I was quieter, more reserved, always over-preparing for meetings, trying to prove myself. But somehow, our paths crossed, and we clicked instantly. From then on, we were inseparable. We spent weekends shopping, went on road trips, gossiped about work over margaritas. She knew everything about me. My fears, my hopes, my little secrets. For 15 years, she was my person, the one I thought I could trust with my life. I went through huge milestones with Tara by my side. I got married at 29, had my daughter Claire at 31. When Claire was born, Tara was the first non-family member to hold her. She even called herself Auntie Tara. My husband Daniel used to joke that Tara was my second spouse because of how often she was around. But things changed. By 35, my marriage had collapsed. Daniel and I fought constantly, and eventually we split. Divorce was messy and painful, and for a while, I felt like a failure. But Tara was there, showing up at my door with Chinese takeout, sitting with me while I cried, pouring me wine and reminding me I was stronger than I thought. She told me over and over, "Marissa, you don't need anyone. You've got yourself and you've got me." I believed her. Life moved on. I worked hard, raised my daughter, paid the bills, and built a decent life. Claire grew up to be a bright, independent young woman. By the time she left for college last year, I found myself living alone for the first time in decades. The house was too quiet, and even though I loved the peace, sometimes the silence weighed on me. And then, Tara called. It was a Thursday evening, 6 months ago. I remember I was cooking pasta when my phone rang. Her voice came through the line, shaky, almost desperate. "Marissa, I don't know what to do," she said. "My lease is up, and I can't afford to renew it. I've been falling behind on bills. I just need a place to stay. Just for a little while, until I get back on my feet." I didn't even hesitate. This was Tara, my best friend. The woman who had stood by me through everything. "Pack your bags," I told her. "You can stay here. Claire's away at school. The guest room's open. It'll be good to have you around." At first it felt fun, almost nostalgic. Tara moved in with her 2 big suitcases, her boxes of clothes, her never-ending collection of makeup. We stayed up late watching old shows, reminiscing about our 20s, laughing until our stomachs hurt. For a little while, it felt like I had my best friend back in the best way possible. But soon, little things started to feel off. It began with my clothes. I'd go to my closet and notice something missing. A blouse, a scarf, a pair of earrings. I'd see Tara wearing them, and when I asked, she'd shrug and say, "Oh, I thought you wouldn't mind. You've got so many." Then it was food. Groceries I bought on Sunday would be half gone by Tuesday. Snacks I'd been saving for the week disappeared overnight. Wine bottles I'd barely touched would somehow be empty. I told myself it was no big deal. She was my friend. Friends don't keep score, right? But then came the bigger things. One evening, I came home earlier than usual and found Tara sitting at my dining table, my laptop open in front of her. She slammed it shut the second I walked in. "Oh hey," she said quickly, too quickly. "My email wasn't working on my phone. I just needed to check something real quick." Her tone was sharp, defensive. I brushed it off, but something gnawed at me. Over the weeks that followed, I began noticing strange things. My jewelry box looked disturbed, like someone had gone through it. Drawers in my bedroom weren't the way I'd left them. Once, when I walked into my room unexpectedly, Tara shoved something into her pocket. She laughed it off when I asked, saying she was just borrowing chapstick. But I knew what I saw. And then the charges started showing up. Small at first. $15 here, $20 there. Food deliveries I didn't remember ordering. Random online purchases. I thought maybe Claire had accidentally used my card from college, but she swore she hadn't. I called the bank, but they couldn't tell me much beyond the transactions. Deep down I knew. My gut told me something was wrong. Still I pushed it down. This is Tara, I told myself. She wouldn't do that to me. She's my best friend. But my denial couldn't last forever. One night, close to midnight, I got up to grab some water. As I walked down the hall, I heard Tara in the kitchen. She was on the phone, her voice low but urgent. "She'll never know," she whispered. "Just a little longer. She has no idea." My heart raced. I froze in the hallway, straining to hear. The words were like knives. She was talking about me. I knew it. I crept back to my room, my mind spinning. 1,000 questions swirled through me. What didn't I know? What was she hiding? What was she doing behind my back? Sleep was impossible that night. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, replaying every strange moment, every red flag I'd ignored. And suddenly, the puzzle pieces clicked together. Tara hadn't moved in to help me. She hadn't come because she was desperate. She came because she saw an opportunity. My quiet, empty house. My trust. My generosity. I was her target. But I didn't have proof. Not yet. So I decided to wait. To watch. To be patient. And soon enough, I would catch her red-handed in a way that left no room for doubt. Proof that my best friend wasn't who I thought she was at all. The next morning, I woke up with a pit in my stomach. I kept replaying those whispered words in my head. "She'll never know. Just a little longer." Tara's voice haunted me. Over coffee, I watched her move around the kitchen, acting normal, humming like nothing was wrong. She smiled at me, asked if I wanted her to pick up groceries later, and for a second, I wondered if I'd imagined it all. But deep down, I knew better. I had to be smart. If Tara was hiding something, I couldn't just accuse her. She'd deny it, twist it, maybe even make me look crazy. No. I needed proof. So I started paying attention. Every detail. That week I set small traps. I placed a $20 bill in my jewelry box, tucked under a scarf. I left my laptop open on the counter with nothing important on the screen, just to see if she'd touch it. I even left a bottle of wine in the fridge, marked with a tiny scratch at the bottom so I'd know if it had been opened. And sure enough, every single one of those traps got sprung. The $20 disappeared within 2 days. Tara swore she hadn't seen it when I casually mentioned it. The laptop history showed logins that weren't mine. My email, even my online banking. And the wine? Let's just say it emptied a whole lot faster than I could drink it. That's when my suspicion turned into certainty. But what exactly was she doing? Stealing money? Using my accounts? Something darker? One evening, I came home early again. I heard the creak of the floorboards upstairs and realized she was in my bedroom. My heart pounded as I climbed the stairs, every nerve in me on fire. When I opened the door, she jumped, nearly dropping something in her hands. "What are you doing in here?" I asked, my voice sharper than I intended. She smiled too wide, too fake. "Oh, I was just looking for a charger. Mine broke, and I thought maybe you had an extra." But her hands were behind her back, clutching something. "What's that?" I demanded. "Nothing," she said quickly, slipping it into her pocket. I wanted to press, but she breezed past me, laughing nervously. "You're so suspicious, Marissa. Relax, it's just me." That night, I barely slept. My home didn't feel like mine anymore. It felt invaded, poisoned. So I came up with a plan. The next day, I bought a small, discreet camera. The kind you can hide on a shelf. I placed it in my bedroom, angled at my dresser and closet. If Tara was snooping, I'd catch her. And oh, did I catch her. 2 days later, while I was at work, she walked right into my room. The footage showed her opening my jewelry box, rifling through my drawers, trying on my necklaces. At one point, she even held one up to her neck, smiling in the mirror like it already belonged to her. Then she pulled out my wallet, slid cash out of it, and stuffed it into her jeans pocket. When I watched that video, my hands shook with rage. My so-called best friend. The woman I'd let into my home. She was stealing from me, right under my nose. But I didn't confront her immediately. No. I wanted more. I wanted the full truth. So I left the camera running. Over the next week, I watched her patterns unfold. She'd go through my mail, looking at my bank statements. She'd sneak into my room almost every day. She even took my credit card out of my purse once, wrote down the numbers, and put it back like nothing happened. That was it. That was the smoking gun. I knew I had to confront her. But a part of me wanted to do it in a way she couldn't escape. I didn't just want her excuses. I wanted her to know I knew. So one Friday night, I invited her to sit with me in the living room. I poured us both a glass of wine, set the laptop on the coffee table, and pressed play. Her face when she saw herself on that footage, caught red-handed, stealing from me, was priceless. First shock. Then panic. Then anger. "Marissa, I can explain," she started. "Explain what?" I cut her off, my voice trembling with fury. "That you've been stealing from me? That you went through my private things? That you used my credit card? This is what you've been doing while I let you stay in my home, thinking you were my friend." Her mouth opened and closed like a fish gasping for air. Finally she snapped. "I needed help. You wouldn't understand. You have everything, Marissa. The house, the money, the career. I just needed a little bit." "A little bit?" I spat back. "You stole from me. You violated my trust. You used me." Her eyes narrowed, and for the first time, I saw something cold, something ugly in her face. "Maybe you deserved it," she said quietly. That broke something in me. All those years of friendship, all the memories, all the loyalty. It meant nothing to her. "Get out," I told her, my voice steady now. "Pack your things and get out of my house." She tried to argue, to guilt me, even to cry. But I stood firm. I'd seen the truth with my own eyes, and there was no going back. The next morning, she was gone. Her suitcases, her makeup, everything, gone. The house felt eerily quiet, but for the first time in weeks, I could breathe again. But even with her gone, the betrayal lingered. I couldn't stop replaying her words. "Maybe you deserved it." And the worst part? I wasn't sure this was over. Because something told me. Tara wasn't done with me yet. She'd left too easily. No screaming match, no threats, no begging to stay. Just silence. And that silence felt like a storm waiting to break. I kept the camera hidden, just in case. I changed my passwords, locked away my valuables, even called my bank to flag suspicious activity. Days passed. Then weeks. And just when I thought maybe I was finally safe, something happened that proved Tara's shadow was still hanging over me. But that's a story for the next part. And if you've stayed with me this far, thank you. Don't forget to like this video and hit subscribe so you don't miss what happens next. Because trust me, you won't believe where this is going. The silence that followed my words was heavy, almost suffocating. Tara stood frozen, her eyes darting between the neatly stacked boxes of my jewelry and the thick envelope of cash I had deliberately placed within her reach. The evidence was undeniable. Her lips trembled, but no sound came out. For a brief moment, I almost pitied her. Almost. I crossed my arms, keeping my voice steady but firm. "I gave you everything, Tara. A roof over your head, food, trust. My trust. And this is what you were planning? To strip me of the little I have left." Her composure cracked. "Marissa, please," she stammered, her eyes glistening. "It wasn't like that. I was just making sure your things were safe. I wasn't going to take them." I almost laughed at her attempt to twist the situation, but my anger was stronger than any amusement. Safe? Stuffed in boxes, ready to be taken out of my house when I wasn't looking? Don't insult my intelligence, Tara. I caught you red-handed. Her face crumpled. "You don't understand," she whispered, tears spilling now. "I needed the money. I thought maybe you wouldn't notice. I didn't want to hurt you. Didn't want to hurt me? My voice rose, the fury finally boiling over. You've been living under my roof for months, eating my food, sharing my life. And all the while, you were planning to steal from me. That's not just hurtful, Tara, that's betrayal. The word betrayal hung in the air like a blade. She dropped to her knees, clutching at my hand. Please, Marissa. Please forgive me. I messed up. I was desperate. Her sudden display of vulnerability might have swayed me years ago, but now, I saw right through it. Every sob, every plea, felt rehearsed, like a performance she'd perfected for moments like this. I pulled my hand away, my resolve firm. No, Tara. You don't get to cry your way out of this one. You chose greed over friendship. And you've left me with no choice. Her eyes widened. What are you going to do? I stepped back, my phone already in my hand. I'm calling the police. Her entire body stiffened. No. Marissa, don't do this. Please. If you call them, I'll lose everything. I'll go to jail. You should have thought about that before trying to steal from me, I snapped. Actions have consequences. And you're about to face yours. I dialed the number, and as the phone rang, Tara broke down completely. She tried to grab at my legs, begging me not to go through with it. But I didn't falter. For too long, I'd been the woman who forgave, who gave second chances, who believed in the best in people even when they showed me the worst. But not anymore. When the police arrived, Tara's mask finally fell. She wasn't the crying, desperate friend anymore. She was furious, spitting venom, blaming me for everything. You'll regret this, Marissa, she screamed as they handcuffed her and led her out of my house. You'll be alone forever. No one will ever trust you again. I stood at the doorway, watching as the flashing lights faded into the distance. My heart was pounding, my body shaking, but not from fear. From release. From the weight of betrayal finally being lifted. The days that followed were surreal. The house felt strangely quiet without Tara's presence, but it was a silence I welcomed. For the first time in months, I could breathe freely, knowing I wasn't being watched, manipulated, or stolen from. I changed the locks, reorganized my home, and reclaimed my space. And with each small step I felt stronger. But the real transformation was happening inside me. I started journaling again, pouring out every thought and feeling I had buried while Tara was around. I rediscovered the parts of myself I had neglected, the woman who loved to paint, who enjoyed long walks at sunset, who found peace in solitude. Slowly, I was becoming Marissa Hale again, not the shadow of myself I had been while drowning in grief and betrayal. One evening, I sat on the porch with a cup of tea, watching the sun dip below the horizon. For the first time in a long while, I smiled. Genuinely smiled. And I realized something important. Tara hadn't broken me. She had tested me, yes. She had betrayed me in the cruelest way. But in doing so, she had also forced me to rise, to reclaim my strength, to remind myself that I was not weak. Weeks later, I received a letter from Tara. It was scrawled in hurried handwriting, full of apologies, excuses, and promises to change. She begged me to forgive her, to visit her, to give her another chance. I read it once, folded it neatly, and placed it in a drawer. I didn't respond. Not because I was bitter, but because I had learned the hardest truth of all. Forgiveness doesn't always mean reconciliation. I could forgive her in my heart, let go of the anger, but that didn't mean I had to let her back into my life. Some doors, once closed, should never be reopened. And I was okay with that. Months passed, and life slowly returned to normal. I redecorated my home, filled it with warmth and light again. I reconnected with old friends, went out for dinners, and even took a short trip to the coast. I was healing. But the most surprising thing? I no longer felt alone. Because in learning to let go of Tara, I had found myself again. I had caught my so-called best friend red-handed, and yes, it hurt, it scarred me, it shook my faith in people. But it also gave me something far greater. Clarity. I learned that real friends don't need to be tested. They prove themselves in small ways every day. And I learned that I was stronger than I had ever given myself credit for. Standing in my living room one evening, I looked around at the cozy safe space I had rebuilt and whispered to myself, I'm okay. I'm more than okay. Because betrayal might have tried to break me. But I turned it into the beginning of my revenge story, My comeback story. And I had one. So if you've ever trusted someone who betrayed you, know this. Their actions don't define you. Your response does. And sometimes, the best revenge is simply rebuilding, stronger and wiser than before. Thank you for listening to my story. If it resonated with you, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more real-life stories like mine. Because sometimes, the endings we never expected lead us to the beginnings we truly deserve.